All right. You know the things we do in a day. Hody ho. All right. Blood, heart, and cardiovascular system. Unbelievably, you guys do need to link all of them together. This test tomorrow, the test will be based off of them being linked together. Blood pressures, viscosities, diameters, length, flow, cardiac output. Okay, so how do they work together? Well, if we want more flow, we speed up cardiac output. Less, we slow down. If we have high blood pressure, we dilate and we slow down. If we have low blood pressure, we speed up and we constrict. Okay, so they respond to physical and physiological changes for example, exercise and blood loss. Well, blood and cardiovascular vessels, yeah, okay? They maintain homeostasis, but not just in blood, but in chemicals, in water, okay? Yeah, in temperature. We get too hot, we sweat. We get too cold, we shiver. All right, so cardiovascular response to exercise, light exercise. Extensive vasodilation occurs, an increase in circulation. So what is our blood reservoir? Where is our blood reservoir? One more time. In our limbs. Skin. Skin. She's all skeletal. Skin. In our skin. And aren't our veins capacitance vessels? Don't they carry the bulk of our blood? So when you start exercising, do your muscles do this? Yeah. Does your your lungs start breathing in and out rapidly? Yes. So we create pressure and we squeeze that return back. But in the skin is a blood reservoir. So venous return increases, muscle contractions, there's that muscle contraction, cardiac output rises, venous return increases, atrial stretching. Stretch. Now it says, hey, when it drops down there, pump harder. Okay, it's a signal. It's a signal. If more venous return is coming and we stretch the atrium, it signals the ventricles to contract harder. But that's all part of exercising. It's not like your heart's just going to do this. Okay, I'm running 10 miles, beat. If it does, you're crazy, athletic, super duper, do every race in the world. Okay, but it doesn't. It's beep, 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 beep. Okay, and if it's half of us, here's what it is. Beep, beep, beep. 10 minutes. Right? Yeah, you club the kid, take his bike, and catch up. Yeah, it's craziness. So, whoa, back up. Light exercise, heavy exercise activates sympathetic nervous system. Cardiac output increases to maximize about 4 times the resting level. And, well, if we look at our numbers, wasn't it 5 times? 5 times 5 is, I know it's too early for math, but it's 25. Okay? So that means we're circulating 25 liters of blood through our heart during exercise. 25 liters. Trained athletes can circulate as much as 35 liters, 7 times. Okay? Restricts blood flow to non-essential organs. Digestive tract. This is repetition. Redirects blood flow to skeletal muscle, lungs, and heart. Blood supply to the brain is unaffected. It stays the same. We don't need a whole extra ton of brain, water, juice, blood, everything up here. We don't need it. Okay? Most exercising is natural. Most exercise is natural. You don't really have to think about it. Now, yoga, that's a different story. That's unnatural. Like trying to put yourself in those poses, that's craziness. I could never do it. I could never do it. And if I did do it, I'd have to be at the front because I couldn't look at everybody's butt. That would drive me nuts. I could not do it at all. Okay? And then the people walking by and looking in. Really? I'm in a vulnerable pose and they're staring at me? No. Okay? So, here's our numbers. Here's our numbers. Milliliters per minute. Skeletal muscles, how much are we going to pick up? Well, 1,200. Okay, 1,200 for strenuous exercise. Cardiac output was 1,700, or 12,000 and 17,000. Okay, but notice the at strenuous exercise only 600 abdominal viscera. Do we need blood in the stomach when we're exercising? No. But at rest, how much do we have? 1,400. So yeah, we do need it there. Okay? So you can see the changes. Notice our skin, strenuous exercise. Why do we need 1,900 at the skin in strenuous exercise? One more time. Blood flow for what? If you're overheating, you need to sweat. Yeah, you need to cool down. So we got to circulate that blood around to cool down. Now, exercise, cardiovascular fitness, and health. Regular, moderate exercise lowers total blood cholesterol levels, burns it up. Okay? Intense exercise can cause severe physiological stress. I don't agree. I don't agree. Okay? And I'll tell you guys why I don't agree with this statement. Moderate exercise in most people's minds is running 2 miles an hour. Now, let me give you an idea of what running 2 miles an hour is, okay? So you tell me if this is moderate exercise. Here we go. Heart rate's through the roof. You know what I feel like? I feel like I'm in the movie Stripes doing that. That is what they consider moderate exercise. It's not even enough to get your heart rate up. Them intense exercise, physiological stress. It does create stress, but at what level? Okay, if you go from, I've been sitting on the couch all day eating bonbons, to I'm going to go out and run 10 miles, really? Yeah, that can cause some physiological stress. But if you're a regular exerciser and you run 2 to 5 miles a day, notice I said 2 to 5 miles a day, at about 5 to 6 miles an hour, okay, that is actually moderate exercise. And I know you're thinking, no, it isn't. Yes, it is, because the average human being can walk 3.5 miles an hour. Oh, didn't I just say 2 miles an hour? The average human being can walk 3.5 miles an hour. I can hike uphill at 4.5 miles an hour. Okay, so they're saying moderate exercise, but moderate exercise literally means you've got to get your heart rate elevated. It's got to be up in the 160s, 170s, 180 if you're starting off. 200's not good. So if they're saying intense exercise at 200, that's not because you're doing intense exercise all the time. It's because you're out of shape. Just saying. It's a true statement. Okay? So I don't entirely adhere to this. And if you think that I'm just saying this because I like to exercise and it's fun and I do a lot all day, no, you know what my doctor said to me, he's a good friend of mine. I went and got my checkup the other day. He says, Phil, your heart rate's great, everything's good, your cholesterol's a little high. I said, I know. And he's like, how much do you drink? Blah, blah, blah. I went through the whole thing. He's like, how many times a day do you exercise? Get your heart rate up to about 160, 180. I said, I do it about every other day. He's like, you got to do it every day. That's my doctor. You've got to do it every day for about an hour every single day. Okay, so if you think it's just me, it's my doc telling me. Okay? So, now, non-athletes, let's see if they put this in here. Oh my good, trained athletes, maximum 182. There you go. See the heart rate? 182. All right? So, trained athletes at rest, 120/80, heart rate 53. at rest. Is everybody seeing that? Trained athletes at rest. Non-athletes, heartbeat, well, at rest 83. Non-athletes maximum 192. That's why I said getting up into the 180s, you're kind of pushing your limits for being a non-athlete. Okay? So it's stroke volume's different, blood pressure's going to be different. Okay, yeah, your blood pressure's going to go up a little bit when you're exercising, but you're also what? Pumping more blood. So besides, they seldom, unless you're doing a stress test on a treadmill, you're not ever going to know that. It's not like you're going to be running down Green Lake, oh, I'm doing my blood pressure. No, that's not going to happen. Okay, so cardiovascular response to hemorrhaging, the entire cardiovascular system adjusts to maintain blood pressure and restore blood volume. Okay? Short-term elevation of blood pressure, carotid and aortic reflexes increase cardiac output, increasing heart rate, causes peripheral vasoconstriction. That doesn't make any sense. Let's see what they're saying here. Sympathetic nervous system triggers hypothalamus, further constricts arterioles, venoconstriction improves venous return. Short-term elevation of blood pressure. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm not sure what they're getting at. Okay? Short-term elevation in blood pressure, we should do what? Slow down and dilate. Okay? Now, hormonal effects, increased cardiac output, not for elevation. Increased peripheral vasoconstriction. Now, I'm not sure if this is backwards or if they messed up. Shock. Shock, short-term responses compensate after blood loss of up to 20% of total volume. Okay, failure to restore blood pressure results in shock. Cardiovascular shock. Circulatory shock. Let me back up here. Let me just see if I'm trying to figure out short-term elevation of blood pressure. Now, just disregard these two because short-term, it's opposite. Yeah, it's opposite of this. So this is odd. I'm not sure if it was a mistake on this, but yeah, shock, long-term restoration of blood volume. Well, it's all about aldosterone and ADH, the kidneys. We're going to conserve fluid, increase thirst, reabsorb fluid. All about the kidneys for long-term restoration of blood volume. Okay, so remember what I said. If you have high blood pressure in the short term, your body's going to slow the heart rate, okay, and vasodilate if you have high blood pressure. Vascular supplies to special regions, okay, through organs with separate mechanisms to control blood flow. 3 important examples: brain, heart, and lungs. Well, the brain's got to stay constant all the time. You can't have excessive volumes going to the brain. The heart, well, it's going to adjust per its needs. And then finally, the lungs. Obviously, if you're breathing heavily, you've got to oxygenate and get rid of CO2. Blood flow to the brain is a priority. Brain has high oxygen demands. When peripheral vessels constrict, cerebral vessels dilate, normalizing blood flow. Okay? This has to be the same all the time. Okay, we talked about orthostatic blood pressure, right? That's why. Stroke. Well, cerebral vascular accident. Now, I'm not sure why they call it an accident. It's not like 2 blood clots collided in your blood vessels, but I guess they did. So it's an accident. Okay, a blockage or rupture in the cerebral artery stops the flow of blood. Now, keep in mind that we do have backups. Don't we have a carotid here and a carotid here? Okay, don't we have a circle in the middle communicating anterior, posterior communicating arteries, right? So this can be occluded and we can still go up and circulate around. It's not the best scenario, but it's still a backup. Blood flow to the heart through the coronary arteries. Oxygen demand increases with activity. Lactic acid and low O2 levels dilate coronary vessels, increase coronary blood flow. Epinephrine, well, dilates coronary vessels, increases heart rate. And we already know this strengthens the contraction, right? SA, AV, and left ventricle. It's going to force a contraction. Heart attack, well, angina, chest pain, tissue damage, heart failure, and death. Now, I'm not sure how death fell underneath heart attack. Like, if you're dead, you're dead. Your heart's not really attacking. But okay, a blockage of coronary blood flow can cause death. Fantastic. Blood flow to the lungs, regulated by O2 levels in the alveoli. High O2 content, vessels dilate. Low O2 content, vessels constrict. This we will get back to in the lungs. We're actually going to talk about, this right here. It seems backwards. High O2 content, vessels dilate. Low O2 content, vessels constrict. Okay? It's about moving it to the part of the lungs where it needs it. Okay? It's about moving it to the part of the lungs that need it. So, 3 general functional patterns, peripheral artery and vein distributions in the same, or is the same on the right and left except near the heart. Same vessels may have different names in different locations. Tissue and organs usually have multiple arteries and veins. And then vessels may be interconnected with anastomosis. You know what this is? This is an overview. It's just a written out overview of everything we've learned. Pulmonary arteries, where do they go? To the lungs. And what kind of blood are they carrying? There we go. Deoxygenated. So pulmonary veins go to the left atrium. Fantastic. And they are carrying oxygenated blood. So a true statement would be the right side of the heart is deoxygenated. The left side of the heart is oxygenated. Okay? Now, the only true statement that we can hold to is this. Arteries leave efferent. Veins enter afferent. Damn, input-output words. Who would? Ellen, did you like that question? Because I liked it. Did you? You're like, just right up my alley. In and out. That was me. Done. She's like, leave me alone. Okay, so a schematic overview of patterns of circulation. Well, here we go. Okay, we're going to the lungs, we're going out to the brain, upper limbs, lower limbs, kidneys, liver. Kidneys are always going to get blood. Always. Always. Oh, and there's return. Notice the difference on this right here. So see the difference there? Come over here. They made a difference here. It's a little blocky for me. I would have personally liked a little rounded, nice and smooth, more arrows, but that's okay. Pulmonary circuit. We already know this. We just did it. We just did it. Okay? So nothing new here. We just did this. Pulmonary vessels. Again, we just did this. If you need to refresh your memory on this, this was part of the heart. This doesn't even need to be part of this. It was part of the heart. There you go. They're giving you a diagram of how they come in and leave. There's the opposite side heading to the lungs. Okay. Notice the exchange, CO2 and O2. And I like how they did this. This is deoxygenated. Okay. Actually, wow, that's weird. Yeah. Did I just catch another mistake?
Yeah.
If we're going like this, we're picking up. Okay. No, I didn't catch a mistake. They did it right. They did it right, but I'm just saying, oh, that would seem weird. Yeah, follow the blue and red arrow. We're coming down, we're picking up oxygen, but we're letting off CO2. That looks familiar. Everything after this point is labeling diagram. Everything after this point is labeling diagram. Did we, God, I used up that much time? That's silliness. Labeling diagram. That means that we're going to continue to have quizzes. And then we have one on Friday. I'm going to hold this up for a second. I'm going to do a Vanna White. With my sexy leg out, my hand down. Right? It's on page 475 and 476. 475 and 476. See, there's that. And then, yeah, that's considered the trunk. Not legs, trunk. 475, 76. You'll notice, if you flip back and forth to them, the page does go back and forth like this. It's pretty nifty. That they're all similar. They're lining up with each other. Hi, Ellen. Okay. Okay. Beautiful. 475, 476. That's the trunk. That's on Friday. Friday's at the end of the week. Okay. It's before Saturday. Right. Okay. By the way, that's all on film. So if someone wants to say he didn't